Flying is cool, that's for sure, but it all depends on a lot of things, and one of them is passion, hard work, and of course, believing that you can actually fly. So today, I'm meeting Captain Nasru Jiwa. He has been in the aviation industry for over 40 years. So let's get to talk to him and get to learn more. Thank you so much, Captain, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
How was it for you growing up? You know, every kid has a passion, every kid has a dream. They want to become a lot of things, but at some point it's not always possible. But for you, what did you always want to become?
Ever since I was young, I always wanted to be a pilot. Because, I thought of a university degree in Manchester in cybernetics computers, but I was always driven in my mind that I want to be a pilot. You know, people think that once they become a pilot, they'll jump in the right seat of a 777 and fly. It doesn't work like that. Every career you have got to start at the bottom, put your foot in the door, build yourself, and then promotions happen. And when you do your training programs, they are very intense. It's involved in theory and flying, and you go to sit for exams and flight checks. Then you get licensed by the Civil Aviation Authority. So I got my American license, but I had to come back to Kenya and convert my license into Kenya. Well, you know, you are so busy on takeoffs and when you're under training, you don't even think about the passengers because you're busy concentrating. But once you've started the process and settled down and you have checked out on a particular type of airplane, then you sit back and think what's happening. When you're in command of an airplane on the ground, there's so many integral parts or so many people are involved in dealing with you before you take off. So your time is very busy. Once you take off, you're in the Kenyan airspace or which airspace is extremely busy, especially in Europe. But once you settle down in the air, let's say you're flying at 35,000 feet, then you start thinking of the processes that how you left the ground and how you went. And mind you, I'm flying a 250-ton airplane with 250,000 kilo airplane, and it's a $250 million airplane, a 777. It's a big responsibility. So there's a responsibility, and as a captain, you're overall in charge. So you've got to make sure that everything is done before departure. It's very simple. I'll give it one answer. You're always worried about the destination landing procedure, because if the weather's bad and you will have to divert to another destination, and that becomes a lot of headache because your passengers are not where they belong. Then you're stuck near the airport and you got to wait for clearance, you got to wait for the weather to clear the destination. So your mind is always about destination. And en route, you're always checking for weather for all the airports that you pass through en route to your destination. You can't do anything of that sort, listen to music or watch a movie. Your job is on board is to monitor the airplane that is in the right area, in the right direction, and also that we have a flight plan. Okay, like you have roads here, there are airways up there that you have to follow. And you're always monitoring about the next point. And you're constantly changing airspaces and you're communicating with various authorities that control that airspace. You know, when parents hear their son wants to be a pilot or daughter wants to be a pilot, they're very apprehensive. But I chat with the parents and with the person who wants to be a pilot. I put it at ease and I tell them what I achieved. And in my opinion, I think is a very good career. Growth is slow sometimes because of demand. You know, aviation is a tricky business. It's got cyclical ups and downs. But once you fit in the system and you move on forward, you'll grow rapidly. And it'll give you immense pleasure to be able to fly people from A to B. By the way, you'll be surprised how many issues are on board. But majority of the issues were handled by the cabin crew, which they cannot handle, then they have to report to me. Though even they have issues and they've dealt with it, they have to give me a feedback because I might have to write a report. Not scared. It's always apprehension to know that what's next. So I took off in an Airbus 310, fully loaded. I was going to London. And I had my first officer, and we were flying. As soon as we took off, I heard a very loud bang. The left engine had failed. So the airplane is such an equipment that it can continue your flight with one engine. So we flew with one engine, and we did a circuit. We came around and landed the airplane. I know it sounds scary, but we are trained. We do checks every 6 months in a simulator, and we practice all this, like engine fire, engine failure, how to handle them systematically, how to share the task. In our business, task moderation and sharing is a very big issue, because one guy flies, the other communicates. So the guy who's flying does not communicate. I had a policy before my flight. I never left home. I rested, went to work. And on arrival at the destination, the first thing I did is go and rest. That's when I wake up thereafter. I do what I want. Hobbies, I used to play tennis a lot, right? I took up golf, but I never continued. I don't know why. Maybe I was lazy. I was at Wilson Airport. I owned a few private airplanes at that time, early days, and used to fly around. Whenever a guest came, I fly them wherever they want to go. Mainly hobbies, I read a lot about aviation, obviously. Not necessarily about training and flying, general aviation stories, because aviation is not only pilots. It's the airplane, engineer, dispatcher, so many aspects of aviation.
Indeed, anyone can be what they dream to be, and 40 years of experience in any profession, we can definitely call that person a legend. Do you agree with that, Captain?
Absolutely.
And they definitely need to be honored and respected. So today, we celebrate you, Captain Nasru Jiwa. Thank you so much for your time.